Today we come together for two reasons. First, we are here to pray with Father Rivera as he pronounces final vows as a Jesuit. Second, we are here in union with the whole Church to honor Our Lady on this solemnity of her Assumption. Let us consider these two celebrations for this evening's reflection. First, on pronouncing final vows in the Society of Jesus. It was in 1988 that Robert entered the novitiate in LHS. And only now, 25 years later, at 47, and with the experience of 13 years of priesthood, is seen to be fully incorporated into the Society of Jesus. That's the technical term for final vows, full incorporation. Pasok na pasok, in other words. Mas mahirap gawin, kaya siguro naman wala nang atrasan. Sana. On Robert's part, this is also the fulfillment of a promise. When he first pronounced his vows of chastity, poverty, and obedience, he also made a promise to enter the Society of Jesus, that is, to unite himself more completely and to spend his life in it forever. So as he now fulfills his promise, I trust that the same desire which set him off on the journey in the first place is still burning somehow, even if at times doubts by a little more realism and rationality, or seeming less clear or less inspired than it was in 1988. On the part of the Society of Jesus, the final vows is a positive choosing of this man, Robert Rivera. Having seen him move and grow and make mistakes and muzzle and fumble through and fall and rise again, the Society now invites him, knowing him well, to fulfill his promise. The qualities of those to be accepted in the final vows have been detailed in many documents of the Society. But the core of what Ignatius speaks of in the Constitution is that the one to be invited to pronounce final vows are those who have been tested in the society sufficiently and for a time long enough. In that long enough time, two things must happen. Yes, a thorough formation of the mind, and, much more importantly, a formation of the heart. To form the heart, that is the key. This means that on the one hand, those invited to final vows must be men with hearts in the first place, who are not just efficient and rational, but also who have a keen sense of God, who recognize mystery, who have a strong sense of mission and an availability to be sent anywhere, who look to all others with concern, especially the poor, and who know how to be careful with their hearts, and at times even set them on fire. But on the other hand, they must also be men who have, through the years, come to realize their own woundedness, who know their own demons and how they can be tamed, who understand their own dynamics, who have come to accept a similarly wounded Society of Jesus, with whose men they have learned to work and live as brothers, and who with them still manage to get some good done despite themselves. It is perhaps no coincidence that often final vows in the Society of Jesus occurs around the time which contemporary writers have identified as the second half of life, when we search more for meaning rather than achievement, when we are driven not so much by what others expect, but by what our hearts truly long for, when we are less concerned with security and status and stability, and longing more for what truly satisfies the soul, when survival ceases to be the objective and sanctity begins to make more sense. So today, Father Robert pronounces his final vows, and I believe his heart is ready. Yet today, The bonga is gone. Much simpler crowd here. Gone are the adoring crowds of Payatas and Sapantalay and Iloilo. Gone are the lengthy liturgies and elaborate preparations. Gone is the feasting. And today, for final vows, there is this very simple and quiet ritual of words pronounced and a covenant seal. It is the same experience of Mary after the Annunciation, when after that fantastic apparition, the Gospel episode ends with a very simple line, and the angel left her. After that, there was quiet, and the whole life yet unfolded. This reference to Our Lady now brings us to consideration of the second celebration for this evening, the solemnity of her Assumption. It was Pope Pius XII who proclaimed this dogma in 1950. He says, what is commemorated in this feast is not simply the total absence of corruption from the dead body of the Blessed Virgin Mary, but also her triumph over death and her glorification in heaven, following the pattern of her Son. She is taken up body and soul into union with God, and the image is of being clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. Through the centuries, Mary has been so glorified and venerated by generations of Christians because, as Elizabeth declares in today's Gospel, she believed that what was spoken to her by the Lord would be fulfilled. She believed. That was the mark of Mary. Unlike many in today's world who no longer firmly believe. Recently, I got to watch a 2003 movie called Under the Tuscan Sun. If you might have seen that. It's not a great movie, but interesting enough. One that warms the heart and leaves a sense of hope. It's a story of a woman named Frances, who is shattered by the experience of divorce, of a love she thought she had but didn't. Wanting to help, a friend gifts Frances with a trip to Italy, to Tuscany, where in a moment of mysterious craziness, she finds herself buying an old Italian villa that badly needed repair. Interestingly, on the side, the non-religious Frances draws consolation from Our Lady, whose many portraits around the old house become a source of inspiration for her. Anyway, the whole movie is about Frances rebuilding her villa, and in the process, rebuilding her life. By getting into the slower rhythm of rural Italy, enjoying local hospitality and making new friends. And that's it. A very uncomplicated plot. In the movie, a friend tells her about this place between Austria and Italy, in a section of the Alps that is very high and impossibly steep, and how the train tracks over these Alps were built to connect Vienna and Venice, even before there was a train in existence that could make the trip. They built it, she was told, because they knew someday the train would come. That's what this movie was about building tracks for the train that would surely come. In the end, Frances learns to believe once more in herself, in her possibilities, in her capacity to rise from the ashes and start again. But today we see Mary, and we see that Mary believed in something even more. Mary believed that all she had was gift from an Almighty that does not fail to do great things for her. She believed that there was a plan bigger than herself, a plan to be carried out for the salvation of the world, and a mission for her to take part in, to be part of the covenant and bearer of God in her womb, and to accomplish simple acts of love, like traveling far to visit a cousin, or caring for a couple whose wine was running short at the wedding, or accompanying a son condemned to die. She believed that in moments of darkness, God must be allowed to be God, to work His way through them and bring blessing and make all things new once more. She believed as Abraham believed, who was told he would have offspring as many as the stars in the sky and sands on the shore of the sea. Offspring he never saw, and yet in the end they were there. She believed like Moses, who was told about the promised land in which she never set foot, and yet in the end it was there. The Almighty works in and through our histories, and like Mary, we are challenged to believe. This is the year of faith. And if, like Mary, we truly believe, then our mission is like Mary's. To always point to Jesus, to trace His footprints everywhere, knowing that His Spirit is at work in all places and at all times. Robert, this is a good day to pronounce final vows. It is a day of Our Lady, the greatest of believers. May she intercede for you, Robert, to always believe, and so move you forward in mission in this least society of Jesus, which we pray might always be firmly rooted in God at all times.